There are some evenings that change us in ways we don't expect. This is a story about one such evening, and about the small acts of kindness that remind us what truly matters. A gentle pause. James Crawford was 42 years old, a man with kind eyes and calloused hands. He worked construction during the day and came home each evening to his 7-year-old daughter, Emma. His hair had started graying at the temples, and there were lines around his eyes from years of working in the sun. But when he smiled at Emma, those lines deepened with genuine joy. Life hadn't been easy for James. 3 years ago, his wife Sarah had passed away suddenly, leaving him to raise Emma alone. He'd learned to braid hair by watching YouTube videos at midnight. He'd learned to pack lunches that other kids wouldn't make fun of. He'd learned that sometimes the best thing you can do is just hold your child close and let them cry. A moment to breathe on this particular Tuesday evening in October. James had picked Emma up from her after-school program, and they'd stopped at the grocery store. Nothing fancy, just the corner market where everyone knew his name. Emma was holding his hand, chattering about her day when they both heard it. A child crying. Not the angry crying of a tantrum, but the scared, lost crying that every parent recognizes. That sound that goes straight to your heart. Natural pause. James looked down at Emma, and she looked up at him with those serious brown eyes she'd inherited from her mother. Without a word between them, they walked toward the sound. They found a little boy, maybe 5 years old, standing near the automatic doors. His face was red and streaked with tears. He was wearing a blue jacket with a dinosaur on it, and his sneakers lit up when he shifted his weight from foot to foot. James knelt down slowly, the way you do when you don't want to startle someone. His knees creaked a little, the way they always did these days. "Hey there, buddy," he said softly. "Are you lost?" The little boy nodded, hiccuping through his tears. "What's your name?" James asked. "Tyler," the boy managed to say. "Okay, Tyler. I'm James, and this is my daughter, Emma. We're going to help you find your mom or dad, all right? You're safe now." A gentle transition. Emma, bless her heart, sat down right there on the floor next to Tyler. She pulled a small stuffed bunny from her backpack, the one she carried everywhere, and held it out to him. "You can hold Mr. Whiskers if you want," she said. "He always makes me feel better when I'm scared." Tyler took the bunny with shaking hands. James called over the store manager, a woman named Patricia who'd known him for years. She made an announcement over the loudspeaker, her voice calm and reassuring. Then they waited. A moment of reflection, and they waited some more. 5 minutes became 10, 10 became 20. James stayed right there, kneeling on that hard floor, talking quietly to Tyler about dinosaurs and trucks and favorite colors. His knees ached, but he didn't move. Emma sat cross-legged beside them, patient as could be, occasionally adding her own thoughts about which dinosaur was best. Other shoppers passed by. Some glanced over with sympathy. Others hurried past, busy with their own lives. James didn't judge them. Everyone has somewhere to be, he thought. Everyone's carrying something. After 30 minutes, Tyler's tears had stopped. He was actually smiling a little, telling James about his pet goldfish named Bubbles. That's when a man in an expensive suit came rushing through the automatic doors. His face was pale, his eyes wild with worry. Behind him was a woman in business clothes, looking equally frantic. "Tyler!" the man cried out. "Daddy!" Tyler ran to him, and the man swept him up in his arms, holding him so tight. A warm pause. The man was shaking. James could see it from where he stood, brushing off his jeans. The woman with him, probably Tyler's mother, was crying with relief, her hands reaching out to touch her son's face, his hair, his arms, as if making sure he was real. For a moment, everything was reunion and relief and gratitude to God or fate or whatever power watches over lost children. Then the man, still holding Tyler, turned to James. His eyes were red. "Thank you," he said, and his voice broke. "Thank you for staying with him. Thank you for... I can't even... Anyone would have done the same," James said simply. "I'm just glad he's okay." The woman stepped forward. Can we do something to thank you? Please let us..." James shook his head gently. "No need. Just hug your boy and get him home safe. That's thanks enough." A thoughtful pause. They exchanged a few more words. James learned that the father's name was Richard Palmer, and he worked downtown. The mother, Susan, explained how Tyler had wandered off while they were separated for just a moment, each thinking the other had him. James understood. He knew how quickly these things could happen, how easily any of us could end up on either side of a moment like this. Before they left, little Emma stepped forward and told Tyler he could keep Mr. Whiskers for the night, to help him feel brave. James felt his throat tighten, proud of his daughter in a way that words couldn't capture, a gentle shift that could have been the end of the story. Often, these small kindnesses pass by without fanfare, and that's okay. That's how it should be, really. We do good because it's right, not because we expect recognition. But this story goes a little further. A moment to settle the next evening. James was making dinner, nothing fancy, just spaghetti and meatballs, Emma's favorite. The local news was on in the background, the way it always was, keeping them company. He was draining the pasta when he heard the news anchor say something that made him stop. A local CEO is making headlines tonight for a heartfelt public message. James looked up at the screen. There was Richard Palmer, the man from the store. But he wasn't in a grocery store now. He was standing at what looked like a press conference, microphones in front of him. The caption at the bottom of the screen read, "Richard Palmer, CEO, Palmer Industries." "A pause for absorption yesterday evening," Richard was saying, his voice steady but emotional. "My son Tyler got separated from us at a grocery store. In those 25 minutes before we found him, every parent's worst nightmare was running through my mind." He paused, gathering himself. "But my son wasn't alone. A man named James Crawford stayed with Tyler the entire time. He didn't know who we were. He didn't know if we were coming back in 5 minutes or 50. But he stayed. He knelt on that hard floor with his own daughter beside him, and he made my scared little boy feel safe." Richard's voice grew stronger. "I'm a CEO. I'm used to measuring success in quarterly reports and profit margins. But yesterday, I was reminded of what real success looks like. It looks like a tired man after a long day's work who stops everything to help a child he's never met. It looks like a little girl who gives her favorite stuffed animal to a stranger to make him feel better." A warm, emotional pause. I couldn't repay James at the store. He wouldn't let me, but I can do this. I can stand here and say that character isn't about what you do when everyone's watching. It's about what you do on a Tuesday evening in a grocery store when you're probably exhausted and just want to get home. James Crawford, if you're watching this, thank you. You represent the very best of what we can be as human beings. James stood in his kitchen, the colander still in his hands, dripping water onto the floor. Emma had come to stand beside him, looking up at the television. "Daddy," she said softly, "that's us." "Yes, sweetheart," James said, his voice rough. "That's us." A reflective pause. His phone started ringing, then it rang again, and again. Friends from work, neighbors, people from Emma's school. Everyone had seen it. But here's what James thought about. Standing there in his small kitchen with his daughter pressed against his side, he thought about how strange it was that anyone considered his actions remarkable. He'd just done what needed doing. He'd helped a scared child, that's all. A gentle wisdom, isn't that what we're supposed to do for each other? Isn't that the world we're supposed to build, one small kindness at a time? The news moved on to other stories. The spaghetti was getting cold. Emma tugged on his sleeve, bringing him back to the moment. "Can we eat now, Daddy?" James smiled, setting down the colander. "Yeah, honey, let's eat." A final warm pause. 2 days later, a package arrived. Inside was Mr. Whiskers, carefully cleaned and wrapped, with a note from Tyler written in careful 5-year-old handwriting. "Thank you for being nice. Love, Tyler." Tucked inside was also a college fund certificate in Emma's name. James called the Palmers right away to say it was too much, they couldn't accept it. But Richard was firm, in the kind way that some successful people can be. "James," he said, "you gave me back my son's safety and my peace of mind. I know you did it expecting nothing. That's exactly why I want to do this. Let me pay forward the kindness you showed us. Someday, Emma will pay it forward too. That's how we make the world better." James thought about arguing, but then he looked at Emma, hugging Mr. Whiskers, and he thought about college applications and opportunities and the doors that might open for his daughter. He thought about how Sarah would have wanted the best for Emma. "All right," he said quietly. "Thank you. We're grateful." A settling moment, the recognition faded, as recognition always does. Life returned to normal. James went back to construction sites and packed lunches and bedtime stories. Emma went back to school and homework and playing with friends. But sometimes, on quiet evenings, James thinks about that night. Not because it made him famous for 15 minutes, but because of what Richard Palmer said about character. A final reflection: we're all just walking each other home, James thinks. Every one of us. And the measure of our lives isn't in grand gestures or public recognition. It's in the small moments when we choose kindness over convenience, when we stay when we could leave, when we care when we could walk away. A gentle closing, that's the real story. Not about a CEO's apology or a news conference or even about a lost child found. It's about the quiet strength we all carry inside us. The strength to be decent, to be kind, to be present for each other in the moments that matter. And in the end, maybe that's the only kind of strength that really counts. A final, peaceful pause. The world could use more people like James Crawford. But here's the secret. We're all capable of being that person. We just have to choose it, one Tuesday evening at a time.